strength, it's the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sisterhood, of a race. It's the strength of me, it's the strength, it's the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sisterhood, of a race.
Welcome to Unerased, a podcast of the public engagement initiative Unerased, Black Women Speak. The theme at this kitchen table: paychecks, pennies, planning, the economics of aging. One day I looked in the mirror, unnerved by a strange older woman peering back at me. More jarring than my self-reflection was the fear of functioning in an image-obsessed society where aging and irrelevance are constant companions. Somewhere between 55 and 60, the person I had strived to become for decades, commanding a thriving K Street PR firm, was fading into invisibility. Was it okay, boomer? Had that dismissive meme banished an entire generation to obsolescence? Older women, seemingly at their apex with well-tested acumen, confront job loss, wage disparities, and overqualified rejections. We're objects of jeers and jokes for our tech frailties and old-school values. Already saddled with racism and sexism, we carry the triple jeopardy of ageism. Who are those 55 plus in my circle anyway? Mostly boomers, we're a massive cohort, only recently outpaced by the millennials. We're your mamas, aunties, thought leaders, and boss ladies, often overperforming and underacknowledged, excelling across vast avenues: family, electoral politics, advanced degrees, church, civic organizations, and business ownership. Back in the day, we envisioned possibilities beyond our immediate grasp, witnessed the first moonshot, and grew up in the emerging computing and mass media age. We demanded to be seen and heard, inhaling advocacy and social activism, civil rights, anti-war protests, women's rights, student activism, and the Black Power movement. We're potent role models for the generations of women to follow, but the world doesn't give us what we're due. Joined by our younger sisters, we suffer greater disparities and discrimination in employment, housing, and the commercial sector. Qualifications and excellence, they're casualties of race and sex discrimination. Now, about getting old. Sisters of all ages embrace it. Don't deny it. Every year it's a blessing, and if you're lucky, to those under 55, this too shall pass. We share more sameness than differences. Older, younger sisters together, we learn from each other. Switch up on mentors, proteges. It's a do-si-do square dance. We all stand on shoulders of the formerly enslaved sharecroppers, domestic workers, teachers, and warrior ancestors whose sacrifice and struggle boosted them and us to heights once unimagined. That takes me to our primetime 55 plus, an online showcase of older women who ain't nowhere done. More than black girl magic, check out their Black Women Wizards at primetime55.com. Gwen McKinney signing off for Unerased Black Women Speak. Welcome to Unerased. My name is Carolyn Malachi. I'm your host. I'm joined by two amazing guests.
My name is Elizabeth White. I am the author of 55 Underemployed and Faking Normal. I'd say a manual or survival guide for older adults facing the economics of aging.
I'm Dr. Julianne Malvo. I'm an economist, author, radio and TV commentator. I am currently the Dean of the College of Ethnic Studies at California State University at Los Angeles.
Julianne, let's start with you. Through the lens of a noted economist, briefly talk about Black women's triple jeopardy. We're referring to racism, sexism, ageism. What does it mean personally and systemically?
Well, let's start with the systemic, and let's add a fourth burden, which is the economic status of Black men, because that then becomes a burden to Black women who end up spending more time, effort, energy, and money on family as opposed to on themselves all too often. When we look at economics and aging, what we're looking at is people experience their peak earnings between 35 and 55. Then we see earnings begin to drop off. Now, we don't see that for everyone. In fact, for many white males, they just hit their stride. You know, they're 70 years old and they're sitting on corporate boards and they're making lots of money. But for women especially, and Black women in particular, we begin to lose earning power. COVID, of course, exacerbated this. The other thing about Black women as we age, we have more family responsibilities. We have young'uns who haven't found jobs or landed. We have elders who are sick and dying. And those are also drains, not only on our pocketbooks, but also on our spirits. We do what we have to do.
Elizabeth, so you're a Harvard business graduate. You ascended to soaring success, a six-figure salary, cushiony lifestyle, and you said that it crashed and it all came tumbling down at 55, forcing you to fake normal. Can you give us a glimpse of what happened?
One stat that really sticks with me that summarizes the lifetime of disadvantage that many Black women have had is that the median wealth for Black women 60 and older is $11,000. And I'm talking there about educated Black women. And it's compared to white women in the same cohort of $384,000. Looking at the wage gap, where we're making something like 63 cents for every dollar that a white man makes. What that means is $24,000 a year, so $2,000 a month. And over our 40-year career, that's almost $1 million that we are not making. So we start to think about what could a Black woman do with $2,000 more a month. I'm someone who was doing really well for a long time. And then the Great Recession hit. At that point, I had two really good consultancies. One was supposed to last 7 months. I was in my 7th year. The other one was supposed to be 1 year. I was in my 4th year. That combined income was really good. What happens during a recession? Companies retrench, and within 6 months, my income went to zero. Wasn't even really worried. I've got all the props and credentials, worked at the World Bank, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, etc. But all of a sudden, my phone was not ringing. I didn't downsize quickly enough. There's some really good work that ProPublica and the Urban Institute have done that shows that over half of Americans in their 50s will lose their jobs. Only 10% will ever again get a job at the pay and level, commensurate with the pay and level of the job they left. So when you go to Trader Joe's, you see that old guy at the as a cashier, or you go to your gym and there's an older woman at the desk, she might not be there because she wants to be.
Hi, I'm Melissa Davis, the digital content coordinator for Unerased. I not only do stuff for the website, but I also edit the Table Talk Thursday Instagram Live sessions. I know sometimes aging can be scary, and I am a little scared of getting older, but I think it also comes with a lot of positives. You grow. Growing is so important, and growing is something that happens with age and experience. So aging means just growth, coming into yourself, knowing who you are, and gaining that confidence that you might not have had when you're younger. I'm going to try to hold on to the grace of it all, even though there is sexism, ageism, and racism and all of it. I think it's so important to just always be confident in who you are and confident in yourself. If you put your mind to it, you will achieve it. Like, my mom started her business at 50, and my aunt got her doctorate at 63. Age is truly nothing but a number. You can still achieve and do anything that you put your mind to, no matter how old you are. And I think that is also how you extract the joy, because you just focus on the positives and all that you can do as you get older. It's not a limitation. And I think that's important to realize and understand.
You mentioned not downsizing quickly enough. I'm really curious about that. And then also, what do we do with the resources that we do have? And then what do we do about not having enough time to create more resources?
One of the things I had to do was get off my throne. That's what I call it. So I'd made a lot of money, and you suddenly are not getting the kind of offers that you're used to. I had a friend once, she asked me to do some organizing work, and I thought she meant kind of along the lines of President Obama. She meant organizing somebody's closet. And I said, I'm not doing that. And she said, get off your throne. Money is green. So I had to shift my attitude. Another friend of mine said to me, sometimes you have to look at the non-dollar value of opportunities that come up. So I remember I was offered a consulting assignment that paid significantly less than what I was used to, but it also allowed me to travel around the country and talk to people about my book. So learning that I've taken the bus to New York instead of the Excella, I've had a roommate, all these kinds of things that I had to do. And I looked at it as you have to get to where you think strategy, not failure. It took me 2 years to get back to income that was more what I was used to. You are scrutinizing every expense. You are changing your phone service. You are looking at all kinds of non-essential automatic payments that you can cut. So it was at a point of real despair that I wrote the essay that went viral, that I heard from so many people. Because early on, I thought this was just me and a few friends. I started to notice what I call the faking normal. So you're with somebody, they've got a SUV, you know, it takes $60 to fill that thing up, and they're putting $8 of gas in that car. Or you're with someone, you know this is a Chardonnay girl here, and she's ordering mineral water. What saved me were women friends, a few men friends that I could actually tell the truth to. And that's what I call my resilience circle.
And you know, the thing you said about getting off your throne is really important. I had to tell myself at some point, you need to put that diva act down. And this came to me one morning when I was praying. Don't let who you used to be prevent you from being who you're going to be.
Say it again.
Come on, Pastor.
And it's not that you're flat broke, but you are counting your pennies. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it does give you the opportunity to count your blessings, the blessings you had, and the blessings that you will have. Because if you lived a rich life, Elizabeth, as you did, as I did, and as I do now, but I spent a year and a half with COVID, you know, scrounging the house looking for paychecks and pennies. And I think that in terms of our network, it's not just our similarly situated sister friends, but one of the things that I found is that younger people can often be a help to you if you're transparent with them. I have a young sister that I mentored. She's doing extremely well now. And one day I was whining, I was singing the blues, and she said, give me your phone number. I said, why? I said, you have it. She says, do you have Zelle? I said, I don't know. What is Zelle? And the next thing you know, I got a lovely gift from her. She sent me like $500. And had I not had the conversation with her, that wouldn't have happened. Now that I have a new gig, I'm kind of digging myself out of the hole of 2 years worth of debt, really, having borrowed from one of my siblings, having borrowed from friends, and now try to pay everybody back, which is it's a blessing to be able to do that. And it feels good.
My name is Mariah McLean. I'm a marketing event specialist and activist. Aging means getting better. It's nuanced, right? Like there's your physical health and there's your mental health. But what I mean is getting better at life, learning how to navigate situations. As you're young, you're definitely experiencing things for the first time. As you're getting older, you're learning how to go through those experiences and have a response. So having a response to those experiences and being able to do it over and doing it not necessarily correctly per se, because there's never really a correct way, but doing it in a way that works for you. So the way that I plan on carrying the triple jeopardy, as we might term it, of all the three isms, racism, sexism, and ageism, is hopefully with grace. You know, as a Black female, I do have to deal with a double jeopardy at the moment of sexism and racism. It's a hard experience, and I think the hardest part is learning how to have a response. For me personally, I've been trying to unlearn some of the things that I've learned, and that's something that I'm looking forward to as I age. And I'm looking forward to my gray/silver hair. I'm going to embrace it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from both of you. Is entrepreneurship for everyone? Should all Black women have that side hustle that could potentially take over when, one stream of income ends? Should they always have something else in the back pocket?
I think that everybody should have a plan A, B, C, D, E. They should have several plans, not necessarily several income streams, although it's great to have several income streams. The story I love to tell is that of Sadie Alexander, who was the first Black woman to get a PhD in economics. But she never was able to teach economics because the HBCUs were sexist, and of course the PWIs were racist. She went back to school to get a law degree after she got her PhD and became one of the most celebrated lawyers in Philadelphia and served on 2 presidential commissions. I mean, she was just a superstar, but she always had a plan B, C, D, E. Now, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Everyone is not a risk taker. You have to know yourself. You have to know what you're good at and what you're not good at. And one of the ways you could be an entrepreneur if you're not a natural entrepreneur is to invest in somebody else's business, is to work with someone else who is an entrepreneur. See, I thought, like Elizabeth, I thought I was going to always be sitting on top of the world. I truly did think I was always going to be sitting on, and that's just unrealistic. Life is ups and downs. It never occurred to me that me, the great Julianne Malveaux, would spend a year with no income. It just never occurred to me. And that's what happened.
I have a minister friend who said to me once, God works through people. And if you don't let people know what's happening to you, he can't help you. They can't tell you about that great opportunity or that apartment that's just for you if you're not telling the truth about your situation. The other thing I found with younger people is they're often much more in the game than we are. Mm-hmm. They are in the heart of things. They know what projects are coming down the pike. They know who's about to be in, who's about to be out, etc. And some of my most interesting assignments don't come from my peers. It comes from interacting with younger people who just hear about an opportunity that might be relevant for me. I agree totally with Julianne that not everybody is an entrepreneur. I don't expect really to end up with a sort of that long bread W-2 job. Could happen, but I don't even really look for those at this point. I think of how do I create an interesting casserole of work. And I see a number of women. I have a friend, she does a little bit of consulting. She does Airbnb in her home. She has some real estate that she bought when she was much younger that she rents out, sort of cobbling together different kinds of work in combination with really sort of drastically reducing your living expenses. I think one of the things, when you look at the data on Black women and where we have landed, I think things like normalizing us living together in a house is going to be something that older women have to consider. That we live in a country where everybody's got to have their own snowblower, everybody's got to have their own car. How do we pull resources together? There's Christine Platt, who has Afro-minimalism. So really thinking about what it takes for us to be grounded and content. Because when you get to this place where you can't do all this impulse purchasing, the shopping and eating that Julianne was talking about, then focusing on what really matters. And this Afro-minimalism, which she explores from a culturally relevant perspective for us, is something also to consider. Because I think there's a place actually where the retirement income crisis and the sustainability movement are going to intersect. Because what is the sustainability movement? It's actually about being much more intentional about consumption, being frugal. And the economics of aging will force many people there who weren't there before. So that combination. So Afro-minimalism talks about that from a Black perspective. Even this with us living together, you'll see Golden Girls Act. There's one being considered in DC where they will help a group of women who want to live together, maybe subsidizing the housing, because they're trying to deal not only with the economics of aging, but the loneliness, isolation piece as well. So there, kind of all these things in the absence of a comprehensive federal response that individuals and organizations are doing that I think we as Black women should be looking at.
I think it's really important what you mentioned about people living together. We live in an individualistic society where everybody has to have their own. And while there's some aspects of that are beneficial, there's some that are not. Given the number of unhoused people we have in this country, why can't we figure out ways to share?
What gems can we offer Black women of all ages about how to navigate this modern economy?
My first piece of advice would be stack your money, stack your money, stack your money. I mean, I don't think that we've paid enough attention to the value of savings. If you stack your money, you have a lot more flexibility. My second thing would be, while we have to navigate this economy, we also have to know who we are, whose we are, and what matters. The biggest advice I could give anybody of any age is to be grounded. Is just be grounded. Know yourself, know who you are, know whose you are. And the third thing is pay attention to the world around you, to trends. So pay attention to what's around you, and the way you think it's going to happen is not always the way it's going to happen.
I would add, stay curious, being in the world as a person who wants to know things. I would say understanding that wisdom can come from anywhere and anyone. This grounding piece of knowing yourself in an Instagram world with all these curated lifestyles, it's very hard to kind of stay centered when everybody else is faking a normal. I would say invest in friendship. And what does that investment look like? It looks like time, often looks like time. And then taking care of our health. We go into older age with a lot of disability, and a lot of that is related to stress. So it's really redefining what is self-care. It's more than just nails and hair. Are we taking care of ourselves in that deep way? Are we resting? There's something I came across. Black Women has started something called the NAP Ministry that just deals with this whole trope about being the strong Black woman, everything's on us, that we're not resting and taking care of ourselves in the way that we should.
My name is Mashiva King. I am a serial entrepreneur. I am a real estate agent. I am a social media coordinator, and I am a tour and booking manager. Aging to me means coming into my own peace, the ability to choose the next half of my 50 plus years. Also continuously learning and growing, not just from the people who came before me, but those who are coming after me. Not to belittle people who have been affected by ageism and racism and sexism. It does happen. I personally really would like to take it as, what am I going to do about it for myself? And that is, I'm not going to rely on other people to determine my journey, my future. I may face that. I have the ability to choose whether I continue to be in that space. Some people say, I would like to have a seat at the table. I've made my table. I've built it myself. I get to pick and choose who sits at that table.
We so appreciate Dr. Julianne Malveaux and Elizabeth White for their illuminating conversation. Special thanks to our colleagues representing 3 generations of wise women on the street, Alyssa Davis, Mariah McLean, and Mashiva King. Keep listening to Unerased. We have new guests, topics, and music in store. Check out our brand new theme song. It's called, you guessed it, Unerased.
It's the strength for me, it's the strength. the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sisterhood, of a race.
Walk a mile in my shoes, listen to my blues. I stand before you, resilient, stronger than power, soft as a flower. I know the hour, I am the times.
It's the strength for me, it's the strength, it's the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sisterhood, of a race. It's the strength for me, it's the strength, it's the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sisterhood,
Show
of a
me
race.
appreciation. I need to know you know who I am and what I've achieved. Honor my journey. You could learn from me. Where there's a ruse, I speak the truth. I'm looking at you with respect and appreciation. I want for you the very best in all situations. When we get together, I feel so alive. No lie. Oh, we don't put up with neglect. Yeah, we are done risking our necks. We deserve all of the love that we desire. That's by design. It is the strength for me.
It's the strength, it's the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sisterhood, of a race. It's the strength for me, it's the strength, it's the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sisterhood, of a race. It's the strength for me, it's the strength, it's the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sisterhood, of a race. It's the strength for me, it's the strength, it's the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sisterhood, of a race. It's the strength for me, it's the strength, it's the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sisterhood, of a race. It's the strength for me, it's the strength, it's the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sisterhood, of a race.
Thanks for listening to Kitchen Table Talks, made possible by support from Craig Newmark Philanthropies, the Park Foundation, and anonymous donors. Our theme song is Unerased by Carolyn Malachi. Special thanks to our advocacy partner, the Black Women's Roundtable, coordinating producer Bria Russ, and host audio producer Carolyn Malachi. We had help from Levi Perrin, Alyssa Davis, Alex Kavoris, and recording engineer Ashley Donald. I'm Gwen McKinney, creator of Unerased, inviting you to tune into our next episode. And while you're there, please subscribe and visit us online at unerasedbws.com.